Welcome to Rise Up Voices from the Frontlines, your window into relationships, identity, safety, emotional awareness, regulation and intelligence, unleashed potential, passion and purpose.
The high of healing, when empowerment turns into ego. This is episode 2 of the Woke But Weaponized miniseries and is part of the Foundations program at Rise Up Phoenix Trauma and Crisis Institute. Hey friends, welcome back to Rise Up Voices from the Frontlines. I'm your host, Krista Fee, and today we're diving into a topic that almost every person on a healing journey will hit eventually, whether they recognize it or not. It's called the high of healing, that phase where empowerment feels like euphoria, where you're dropping truth bombs and setting boundaries with the force of a tactical entry team. You're posting memes about toxic people and finally saying the word no with your whole being. And for a while, it's exhilarating. But beneath the surface, something sneaky is happening. That clarity you're feeling, it might be your nervous system moving from freeze into fight. And your sudden expertise on everyone else's behavior, that might be your ego using healing as a shield. So let's talk about what's happening in your brain, your body, and your behavior when the healing high takes over, and how to recognize when you're ready to shift from reactive to regulated. The science of the high. Let's break down the biology first. If you've been living in a dorsal vagal state, that's your parasympathetic freeze or fawn response, your body is essentially shut down. You might feel numb, exhausted, disconnected. And when you finally start healing, your sympathetic nervous system kicks in. And that's a good thing, believe it or not. You're well on your way to well-being. That's your mobilization system, your fight, flight energy. And when that turns on, it feels powerful. You start taking action, making changes, cutting cords, calling stuff out, and it feels like truth. But it's actually just the first step. According to polyvagal theory, true safety lives in the ventral vagal state, where you're connected, compassionate, and calm. But if you stop in the sympathetic stage, you might confuse activation for alignment. Let me tell you a story about Chelsea's crash course in boundaries. Chelsea's been through it, a long relationship with a covert narcissist. She started working with us, picked up trauma books, and joined our women's healing group. Within weeks, she was posting about boundaries, detoxing her friend circle, and she quit her job with no notice. When her sister tried to talk with her about it, Chelsea said, "I'm not available for low vibe energy." What was happening? Her nervous system was mobilized, but not yet regulated. Her fight energy was dressed up in healing language. Her boundaries weren't bad, they were just reactive. Guess what? This is so common, there's even a name for it. The cognitive overconfidence phase. As healing begins, the prefrontal cortex, your executive function, starts coming back online. That part of your brain is responsible for things like insight, judgment, decision-making, and most importantly, emotional regulation. And suddenly you're seeing patterns everywhere. You start diagnosing exes, you label your coworkers, you're like, wow, everyone is so unhealed. And here's the kicker. You stop reflecting inward because now you have language that looks like wisdom, but it's really just armor. And this is the saddest part of the whole process, because if you stop looking inward, you stop progressing and you lose the ground you've gained, eventually sliding back into those old habits and patterns and confirming all the negative beliefs you used to hold about yourself. So here are a few check yourself questions to ensure you don't get stuck in this trap. Do you talk more about how unhealed others are than you do about your own growth? Do you feel contempt or curiosity when someone challenges you? Are your boundaries meant to protect or to punish? If this stings a little, good. That's your growth edge. Seriously, if you're mad at me right now for talking about you this way or challenging your healing, it's a surefire sign that you need to hear this. Because let's get real for a moment. I'm not actually talking about or to anyone specifically. So if you feel called out, well, it's a part of you recognizing yourself in what I'm saying. Defense mechanisms masquerading as healing. Let's name some behaviors that show up during this stage. I just don't tolerate low vibe people. can be read as I'm overwhelmed and I can't process complexity. I cut off anyone who disrespects me, even if it was a misunderstanding. I don't owe anyone an explanation or access to me. My time and space are sacred, except maybe for the people who actually love you and are trying to understand your process. These phrases aren't always wrong. They are tools, and they're meant to be used with discernment and discretion. They're often overused as exit ramps from discomfort. When you're still in fight mode, everyone looks like a threat, even people who want to connect. So how do you know you're stuck in the high? Here are some red flags. You haven't had a hard, vulnerable conversation in months, or weeks, or days. You only feel safe when you're in control. You use healing language to silence feedback. You avoid repair and intimacy, but call it protecting your peace. Let me reiterate, this is not a failure. This is a very normal and common sticky point in most people's healing journeys. This is just feedback, and it means that you're ready for a shift. So moving from power to presence. Real healing isn't loud. It's not always sexy. It's often quiet, slow, and spacious. When you move into ventral vagal regulation, here's what it feels like. You can hear hard things without shutting down. You can set boundaries without slamming doors. You can stay in discomfort without weaponizing your healing. You don't need to be the most healed person in the room. This really isn't a competition. My favorite reflection prompt is simply this, and I ask myself this one often. How would your boundaries look if they came from compassion instead of control? If you're in this phase, give yourself some grace. The high of healing is real. It's often necessary, but it's not the end goal. There's really no end game on the healing journey. Here's a little secret. We're always moving, changing, and on some kind of journey. You choose every day if that will be a growth, self-awareness, and leadership journey, or whether it will be a wounded, stuck, stagnant, and sharp-edged one. Keep on the path, and you'll reach true integration, regulation, connection, and clarity without contempt. You are a work in progress. If this episode resonated, check out the full blog and download the reflection worksheet. We're running a full 7-part podcast series on healing danger and damage zones and how to gently course correct. And if you're ready to deepen your growth, connect with me and join our Rise Up community. Until next time, stay brave, stay curious, and stay human.
Become a Rise Up Hero sponsor to provide mental wellness and crisis response resources for those who serve country and community. Join us in the Rise Up movement today.